Are you overwhelmed by your partner's past romantic relationships, sexual relationships? So with by thoughts about it, intrusive thoughts and intrusive images, and do you feel drained and dreading the next time it happens, kind of walking on eggshells uh, around everything because everything and anything could become a trigger. And are you sensing the same about your partner that they just don't know when the next RJ emotions happen in your life? If so, I want to give you some hope that this is not a character flaw. This is not something that has to be part of your relationship or has to be part of your life at all. This is something that you can overtake. Now, let's look at three ways you can approach it and help you reduce the impact and create a different experience, and with practice you can overcome it, or with support you can overcome it faster. However, let's look at them. So first and foremost, awareness. It is really important to be aware of our intrusive thoughts and to know what they are, because we often have the tendency to accept our thoughts as reality, accept our thoughts for what, actually not for what they are, but basically as if everything that we thought were real or everything that we thought had some importance, and therefore we would have to listen to it, we would have to focus on it, we would have to basically deal with it. But that is farther from the truth than you can ever imagine. And you can use metacognition, basically thinking about your thinking. So you can use this wonderful skill we have, which is to start paying attention to your thoughts. Now, it is very difficult when you are actually really in the midst of it. So it works better when it's just starting out, or when it's the intensity is lower. So if it starts coming in, like there is a thought about your partner's past, or there's some sort of a negative thought uh, that makes you think, oh, RJ might be, you might be going into RJ, then start listening to it instead of engaging with it, instead of going with it and following the same path that you usually follow. You can actually label it and say, hey, this is an intrusive thought. This is not true. This is not something I believe in. Because I know that when you're not emotionally tortured, you intellectually know, even emotionally, you know that that's not true, that's not who you are, and you know that the past doesn't matter. But when you're going through it, all this seems to be so distant. So as it is starting, when the intensity is low, then start paying attention to the thoughts or the images, and really label them as, this is an intrusive thought. This is not what I believe. This is not who I am. The second thing you can do is to reframe the past. So when the thoughts come about, let's say, about your partner, and maybe you're building up resentment, even disgust. How could they have done it? Why would they have done it? Or how can I be with them if they have this past? Then start bringing in a different way of looking at it. So saying, oh, their past brought them to me. Now, yet again, if you're experiencing a lot of RJ, it will be very difficult to think that way. And you might even think that you're deluding yourself. And if you're not experiencing it, you might actually feel, well, of course, I believe that. but really, maybe really think about it and bringing in a larger narrative. So when I'm usually in RJ, I have this thought. So how could you create a narrative around what is wonderful about being with this person, about what makes your partner a wonderful person to be with? What is it that you cherish about them? So that it's not just the sentence that their past brought them to me, but it is it is imbued with the characteristics that they have, with all the life they bring to you that is enriched by all their experiences that they have gone through. And of course, the third thing is learn to trust yourself. It is something that I just cannot emphasize enough because in the therapy room, we always go back to the individual. Yeah, so we don't talk about the third person who is not present because we work with the person who is there. And basically, when when we go past the symptom, when we if you think about an onion and peeling an onion, when you just take off one layer, then there is layers and layers underneath, and there are conclusions, there are um, beliefs, there are fears, there are insecurities, there are layers and layers of things that come together in such a way that result in RJ. And which is why you cannot think yourself out of RJ because it's not the real problem, it's a consequence of lots of little things. And when you work through it, you want to come back to what are your beliefs? What are your expectations? And are you trusting yourself? Like, if you are really afraid of losing your partner, then to the extent that even their past seems to feel threatening, then you will want to work on what is so threatening about losing someone. Is it the grief of losing someone? Is it the idea of being alone and maybe not feeling that you're not going to make it alone? What are those fears? What are those things? Because when you learn to trust yourself, when you learn to really uh, know that you can receive love and not be afraid of losing it, that it can be unconditional. And also, when you learn to see love as something that is given to you, just the way your love is given to your partner. But yes, things can happen. We might grow apart, something might happen, and we might not be there for each other all our life. But as long as that person is there, you want to make the most of it. So how to get to a sense of feeling confident that you can make it without them as well, but it's wonderful to have them in your life. So, just to recap, things that you can work on immediately is bringing in awareness and questioning those intrusive thoughts, not taking them for granted and not actually believing everything that your mind caters. Then reframing the past and potentially imbuing things uh, with the richness that it brings, so that it's not just a sentence that is quite sterile and lifeless. You want it to be something that really encaptures uh, your partner and what it brings to you, what that relationship brings to your life, and then build self-trust. And actually, RJ is a phenomenal um, gateway towards building self-trust so that you can really thrive in the relationship with yourself and then in the relationship with your partner.